Hello everybody and welcome back. This is Carmen with Elemental Designs, and we are here for the third and final installment of this part of the Art Journaling Basics, creating an art journal page start to finish. Upon completion of your page, I'm going to provide you guys with 3 hashtags that you can use to create your own art journal page. If you followed this series, if you want to share it and upload it to YouTube, that would be awesome. I would love to see your work. Definitely drop me a comment down below and let me know if that's something that you're actually hoping to do. And I'll definitely go by your channel and check it out and add it to the playlist, as well as share it in other, social media platforms and so on. So for this final page, for this final part, this final layer of this art journaling page, what we're going to be working on now is adding some shading, and adding some of the last final touches. We're also going to be kind of creating a little bit of a border on this, just to kind of, frame our work, if you will. And for that, I have brought out some Faber-Castell pens. These are Pitt pens. They have India ink. I've also brought out a white gel pen, but if you don't have a white gel pen, you can also use white acrylic paint, or you can use anything that you have available. I've also brought out a number 2 pencil, just to show you that even with a number 2 pencil, you can also create shading around some of your images, or shading anywhere that you like. So far, for this part of it, what we've done is part 1 was creating the background. I showed you guys how to use 3 tones, 3 different colors to pretty much create a nice little background. We've added stamping to that background. We've used different items like little marker caps and pen caps to just add little circles and little things of interest. Also adding some lines with a straight edge, like what's on this spatula here. For the second part of this, I showed you about adding your focal points and how to make some of your focal points stand out. And in this final part, I'm going to show you how to bring them out even more. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start creating, I'm going to start adding some shading. And I might not use all of these markers that I have here. I just brought a couple different colors just to see more or less, how I like it. And when you're using a marker like India ink, what you want to do is you want to work rather quickly. You want to add, your shading in parts, and you want to rub it out and smooth it out as quick as possible. So this is just pretty much just adding a little bit of shading, nothing too major, just a little bit of shading here and there. And you can do this with many markers. It doesn't necessarily have to be India ink. It's just my preference, but you can use whatever you have. And these are by Faber-Castell. So as you can see, I'm just trying to bring that out a little bit more. And I'm adding that in little sections here and there, little bits and pieces. This is why I'm applying some matte medium to your surface. Where you're going to be creating your focal points is very important, because this will allow your ink to kind of flow out a little bit better and allow you a little bit more control when it comes to adding shading here and there. The color that I'm using for this is Indanthrene Blue. Not sure if you guys will be able to see it, but I will list the colors down below. You just do the best you can. If you have some areas that have a little bit of dimension and they don't allow you to kind of get in there, that's quite all right. Don't worry too much about it. Also, from what I discovered in one of the previous videos where I was kind of test running these on different surfaces and applying different things like alcohol and water, these are reactive to alcohol to a certain extent. So you can also get yourself a little Q-tip or something with a little bit of alcohol, you guys, and that will help you to get it even thinner and get it even more, more worked out. And you're going to see that you're going to get a different result on surfaces that have been applied with matte medium and surfaces that do not have matte medium. You're not going to be able to get as well a blending. I did not apply matte medium throughout this entire page. I only applied matte medium in certain sections, which is why it's a little bit different, moving it around. Let's try some pencil. So again, laying down your pencil and just smoothing it out with your finger. This is also something that you can do and that you can use. And the same rules applies in areas where you have matte medium. It's going to react very differently to areas that you do not have matte medium. So just be aware of that. And little by little, you guys, little by little. So you can see you get a different shading, a different effect when you use pencil as to when you use, a marker or something of that nature. And you can use more or less almost any kind of markers that you have. The only difference is that some of your markers will be permanent when they dry, as to others will not. Pencil will not be permanent, you guys. If you want your shading to be permanent, then please go ahead and apply some matte medium. Just be very careful how you apply it so you don't end up putting some of that, pencil markings all over your stickers and so on. Okay, I'm going to bring that up so that you guys can see. As you can see, you can also add shading with pencil. This is the shading with the Faber-Castell, and this is the shading with the pencil. And again, it's a little bit different than if you was to apply matte medium throughout your whole entire surface. You'll be able to get a lot more, it'll be a lot smoother for you guys to kind of blend some of these things out. So I'm kind of going to use different colors for this. And actually what I'm going to do, because I have my fingers dirty, is clean my finger. Clean my finger really quickly. And if your finger is moist, you will get a little bit more spreadability. So my finger's a little bit moist, you guys. As you can see, I'll be able to just kind of get that a little bit more. And I'm just adding little bits here and there, just to give it a little bit of just a little bit of highlights here and there, right? Kind of moistening up my finger a little bit more, so you guys can kind of see just how different, you know, how everything starts kind of moving back and forth, back and forth. And what I mean by that is some things are going to now show a little bit more to the forefront. We want these images to be the focal point. So we're not so worried about some of the background getting lost. We don't want it all to get lost, but we want these to be the star of the page, right? So let me go ahead and I'm going to grab some of the black because I did go ahead, just wet my finger a little bit. Let me grab a wet wipe that's really wet. And I, for the most part, do not throw these things away, you guys. I do reuse them until I can no longer use them anymore. And again, you can do this that I'm doing with pencil. Keeping a wet wipe in my hand so that I can go and just wet my finger as I go. And these that are here in the bottom, I am gonna do with the black and get some of that shading kind of going there. And I'm sure that to you in the camera right now is looking like a lot of little interesting things are happening here. And that is because there is a lot of interesting things happening here. The more shading I add to my page, the more my elements kind of stand out. Right? Now you don't have to add the shading throughout the entire image. You can just choose to add the shading in some parts and not so much the others. If you want to make sure that you don't go over your images, or if you want to be able to correct certain little mishaps, then just make sure that you go ahead and you add some matte medium over your images. That will allow you the ability to clean up after them really quickly in the event that you do go ahead and, let's say, use your marker and kind of go over them by mistake. Once this ink is dry, it is permanent, you guys. It won't react to other things. And this is why I like to use the Faber-Castell. But again, you can use whatever you have. And just make sure that if you want to make sure that it's permanent after it's all done, that you just apply some matte medium over your surfaces. That way you can get that kind of going. On the next art generating page that I'm going to create following this one, our next follow along is going to be all paper, you guys. It's going to be all paper and just working with paper and just different elements to embellish your page and to create an art journal page. We might use some fabrics. We might use just different little things here and there that are not going to add too much dimension, but it'll definitely be fun to play with. So if you're interested in learning how to do that, then I definitely recommend that you stick around and follow along. That video process will be available sometime next week. I'm just making sure that everything here is exactly the way that I like it. And even though I went over this with, I'm just going to add a little bit more, make it a little bit darker with the Pitt pen. And this is a green color, and this color is chromium green opaque. And I will have a list of the colors down below. And you can make your shading as intense or as light as you like. It's completely up to your preference. It really all depends on what you're trying to do with your page. So I would definitely recommend that you just try different markers and try shading on different surfaces, just so that you can see more or less, you know, what the capabilities are of your markers and art supplies. That's the best way to find out. And I'm just going to add shading to these until I feel satisfied. And the kind of shading that you do is completely up to you. You can add very dramatic shading like what I'm doing here and just kind of stretch it all out so that you have all of these different things kind of happening. Or you can go kind of outlining it like I was doing earlier. You don't necessarily have to add highlighting everywhere. You'll start finding out what your preference is the more you do it. And personally, I don't necessarily find that there's a right way or a wrong way to necessarily do it, because it's all about your style overall. It's all about what you're trying to accomplish, what you're trying to achieve. So it's completely up to you how you do it. I don't know if I want to use this blue here, but we're going to try it and see what it looks like. And I'm going to be adding some white highlights with a white gel pen to this. And this color is phthalo blue. Again, I'm just adding different things here and there. Just little happenings here and there. I'm actually bringing in some of that green into some of that blue. As you can see, I'll bring this up to you closer. We are almost done with the blending here. I'll bring a little bit of this green in here. I'm going to bring a little bit of this black. And creating little areas of interest where there aren't any. Adding more of this black in different sections where I feel it needs it. Right now we're just playing at this point in time. We're just playing around with shadows, and we're playing around with just different things that we can do and where we can take this page to kind of like the next level. So overall, a lot of playing going on right now. Okay. So I'm pretty happy so far. Bringing in some of that blue over some of that green. And again, remember, you don't have to necessarily add it over everything. It's just about what you like to do. I'm going to highlight this right here because it's naturally this part of the image itself. So I'm just going to highlight that. If you want to do that, you can do that with paint. For this one, I just felt like it's something that I wanted to do. So just going to highlight that. Again, you can do whatever you wish. It's completely up to you. And I'm just kind of sketching out and adding like just little things here and there. Nothing major, just a little bit of doodling. Just adding little elements. Little things that I, you know, just playing around, you guys. Just playing around. Just playing around. I will try to get the camera even more zoomed in Um, Let me see if I can bring this down a little bit more. Okay, that's as close as I can get it for right now. But I'll see what I can do about getting it even more closed up for you guys, in case you want to. And obviously when you're going to be using something like this, like a, you know, like a white gel pen, you want to write on the darker areas and not so much the lighter ones, because you're going to get it kind of lost. And now I'm just kind of doodling on here. I'm just adding little markers here and there, wherever I feel like it needs it, right? Adding some little kind of highlights on the flowers, wherever you feel you want them. Can you add your highlights wherever you feel you like them? Just little areas of interest here and there, nothing major. Okay. Just gonna add little doodles, you guys, little things here and there. This is kind of dark, so I wanted to brighten this up a little bit. This is the best way to do it. Just add little things here and there, little marks, just little things. You might not see them so well now, but I will put some pictures later on. You'll definitely see them if you're doing them up close and personal, like if you're following along. And you're just adding, all I'm adding is little dots, little clusters of 3 little circles. That's all I'm doing, and I'm adding them in different places that I feel like they can stand out on this page. I really do like the way this is looking, and I'm gonna zoom this out for you guys. Well, bring it up closer is what I mean. So as you can see, I've added little lines here, you guys. Nothing major, just little lines. As you can see, the little dots and circles, just little straight little lines that I've made kind of come out of the flowers. You can definitely still see that background, that stamping, all those dots, the splashes of paint. You can see all of these things happening, but above all, you definitely see your vases, right? You see your focal point. So you see all the little hashtags and just lines. There's different things that I added on here. And now we're going to work on a little bit of border. Nothing too major. I'm going to do it with the same marker, but you can feel free to do this with a paint, with any other markers that you have. If you have water solubles and stuff like that, you can go ahead and do that. I'm just going to add kind of like a makeshift little frame. Nothing too big. I'm just going to add little dashes here and there. If this would be somewhat like a frame, if you want to add little loops, like scallops edges, you can go ahead and do so as well. If you want to do it in black, you can do it in black. Any colors that you want, you can do it in any colors that you want. I'm going to do this, and then I'm also going to add a little bit of white stitching around these areas that I'm doing in blue. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this up, and I might go ahead and speed this part of the video up so that I'm not holding you guys up. Right, so you start seeing that frame. Let's catch the top here. You can also cut little strips of thin paper and use that to frame out your border. That is also always an option. This is just one way of doing things. It's not the only way of doing things. And I'm going to round these off a little bit. Okay, now as you can see, I have some paper here left over. So let me just go ahead and remove these little pieces of excess. I'll probably go over that again with a scissor and just make sure that it's nice and clean. So now that we have this all done, now we're going to add a little bit of, where is my others? We're just going to add a little bit of stitching to the sides, you guys. So I'm just going to start and just make some little dashes. And those dashes are starting to look like frowns. Here I'm just kind of connecting some of these lines, but just um, drawing some lines that kind of connect these corners together. And again, you can doodle whatever you like. You don't necessarily have to do dashes. You can do circles, you can do triangles, you can just do stripes, you can do however you like, you guys. Alright, you guys, so I hope that you have enjoyed creating and following along with me on this three-part journal series. I will follow this three-part journal up with a collaging version, where we're only going to be focusing on collaging and just creating pages without having to use paint. And then the final part of this segment for the Pound Art Journaling 123 is going to be mixed media, where we're going to be implementing a little bit of everything that we've learned in the first series and in the collaging series, with the addition of adding modeling paste, stenciling, and other mediums and other things to create a page. That's going to be for the mixed media, Pound Art Journaling 123. Now, as far as this three-part series, this very first three-part series, what I would like for you guys to do is to create 3 art journal pages on your own, pretty much following all of the steps that you have seen me implement on part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series, so that you can go ahead and create your own art journal page. I'm going to provide you guys with 3 words that you can go ahead and implement into your art journal pages. The first one is going to be sunset. For this, you can create a sunset, you can get a picture of a sunset, anything to do with sunset to create your page. And pretty much, like I said before, implementing all of the techniques that you have learned throughout this series. The second one is going to be flower or flowers. So you can, again, you can create your own flower, you can draw it and then glue it down. You can use a nice stamp that can be used for a focal point. Or anything with flower and or flowers to create your page. And then the final one is going to be a house or houses. And again, same deal, following everything that you've learned so far. So all the techniques that you have practiced as you've followed along with this series are the techniques that you're going to be implementing on your own, personal 3 art journal pages. And I do hope that you guys will share them with us. If you do, please remember to use Art Journaling 123, and then just use the word that for which you're creating your art journal page. So if it's sunset, then just put Pound Art Journaling 123, and that's one word, and then write the word sunset on your title, so that I know that that's part of the series. And I will be sharing everybody's work that does share with us. I will be adding them to a playlist so that everybody can see them, because it's all about showing everybody that you can come on and step out of your comfort zone, and it's a awesome thing to try. And for the most part, most of the people that do try it do end up liking it, because this is something that you could turn into your own kind of flow as you go along, and the better you get with using these different kinds of mediums and products, the more relaxed and the more comfortable you feel with creating your pages. And like I said before, I'm going to follow it up with a collage, and then the final one is going to be mixed media. So I do hope that you guys will follow along, and that you get creating and sharing. That is super awesome. I just love seeing all of you guys' work. So with that being said, I want to thank you all so much for taking the time to participate, to follow along, to create, and definitely to share. It's been awesome. And thank you guys so much. Have an awesome day as usual. I hope that if you haven't subscribed, you do subscribe. And if you have liked these kinds of videos, definitely give it a thumbs up. If you have any suggestions, any ideas, something that you would like to see, or something that maybe you've seen somewhere else and maybe you would like for me to explain or do some kind of a video where I can kind of demonstrate that, then I'm definitely open to your ideas and your suggestions. Because even though I am, it's my channel and I'm doing all of these things, I'm doing them for you so that you guys can also, acquire the love of art journaling as well. So thank you all once again, and have an awesome day, you guys. Goodbye.